The photograph slipped out of the leather wallet and floated to the floor like a falling leaf. Anabel bent quickly to pick it up before it could slide under the hotel sofa. She was only trying to be careful, only trying not to get in trouble for touching what did not belong to her. But when her eyes landed on the picture, the air left her chest. It was a faded photo, edges worn soft from many years of being carried close. A young woman smiled at the camera, standing in front of a dusty compound gate. Her head was tied with a bright Ankara scarf. She was holding a little baby wrapped in a patterned cloth, and sunlight sat on her face like a blessing. Anabel knew that smile. She knew that scarf. She knew that woman. Her fingers began to shake. The photograph fluttered slightly in her hand. It was her mother. The same gap between the front teeth. The same smile that always tried to be strong even when life refused to cooperate. The same tired but gentle eyes that had watched over Anabel since she was a child. What is this?" Anabel whispered, her voice barely a sound. She flipped the photo, hoping she was wrong, hoping there would be some stranger's name scribbled at the back. Instead, she saw a familiar handwriting, neat and careful. Evelyn and Baby, 2004. Her mother's name was Evelyn. A cold wave moved through Anabel from her neck down to her toes. The luxury hotel suite around her seemed to fade. The cream curtains, the glass balcony door showing the hazy Lagos skyline, the smell of expensive cologne and air freshener. All of it blurred as one thought pushed through her mind like a shout. Why did a billionaire stranger have an old picture of her mother and a baby that looked like her? She stared at the wallet beside the picture. It was thick, black, and clearly expensive. Inside, she had seen a few credit cards with the name. Damon Cole, the American billionaire guest, the one everyone at Atlantic View Grand Hotel kept whispering about, the one who had taken the presidential suite for 2 weeks without even blinking at the cost. What was her mother's picture doing in his wallet? Her knees weakened. A buzzing sound filled her ears. For a second, Anabel thought she might faint, right there on the thick hotel rug. Then a low, deep voice sounded behind her. "What are you doing with that?" Anabel froze. The photo trembled between her fingers. She turned slowly. There, standing at the doorway of the bedroom, was Damon Cole in a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up, eyes dark and unreadable, watching her like she had just broken into his soul. His gaze dropped to the picture in her hand. His face changed. It was only for a second, but she saw it. Shock, then anger, then something like fear. He took one step toward her. "Where did you see that?" he asked quietly. Before she could answer, before she could even find her voice, the room seemed to spin. To understand how Anabel ended up in a billionaire's suite, gripping a picture of her mother and shaking like a leaf, we have to go back to earlier that day. That morning, the lobby of Atlantic View Grand Hotel in Lagos was a river of people and noise. Businessmen in suits hurried across the polished floor, talking into phones. Families dragged luggage. The smell of fresh coffee and fried plantain floated from the restaurant. Outside, traffic horns sang their usual Lagos song. Anabel pushed through the staff door and adjusted her neat black and white uniform. Her afro puff was tucked into a hairnet, and the little gold cross necklace her mother gave her rested against her neck. She had tied her apron carefully. The hotel supervisor, Madame Peace, did not joke with appearances. "Anabel," Jasmine called from behind the counter, grinning. "You are late-o. Madame Peace is already frowning." "I'm not late," Anabel said, even though she was. "Any PA took light this morning and water refused to come. I had to fetch from the well." "You and this your area," Jasmine laughed. "Anyway, you're on room service for the presidential floor today. Behave yourself. No talking too much, you hear." Anabel rolled her eyes. "Me talk too much. It's you they should warn." They both giggled, but inside, Anabel felt the usual tightness in her chest. Room service at the top floor meant working around the richest guests. It meant being extra careful, extra quiet, extra invisible. She needed this job. Her mother's pharmacy assistant salary barely covered rent and food. Anabel's small waitress pay helped with her younger brother's school fees. There was no space for mistakes. Anabel, Madame Peace's voice cut through the noise like a knife. Come here, quick. Anabel rushed over. Madame Peace stood with a tablet in her hand, her sharp eyes scanning the staff like a soldier on inspection. You're on the coal account today, Madame Peace said. Room 1501. Anything he orders, you carry it yourself. No selfies, no unnecessary talking. That man is money walking, do you hear me? If anything goes wrong, I'll hold you responsible. Yes, ma, Anabel replied, heart thumping. No problem, ma. And smile, Madame Peace added, but not too much. You are a waitress, not his friend. Yes, ma. As Anabel walked away, Jasmine grabbed her arm. Girl, you are lucky. Oh, that man tipped Emeka $100 for carrying his bags yesterday. $100, Anabel repeated, eyes wide. That was more than her whole monthly transport money. Better compose yourself, Jasmine said. This could be your breakthrough. Breakthrough. Anabel smiled a little as she picked up the breakfast tray from the kitchen. Maybe today would be different. Maybe good things finally knew her address. She balanced the tray carefully and took the staff elevator up to the 15th floor. The higher she went, the quieter it became. The noise from the lobby faded, replaced by soft music and the distant hum of air conditioning. On the presidential floor, the carpet was thicker, the lights softer. She walked down the hallway, her heart drumming, and stopped outside room 1501. She knocked gently. Room service, she called. A moment later, the door opened a little. A tall man in a plain black t-shirt and gray sweatpants looked out. His hair was close-cut, with a few gray strands at the edges. His skin was a rich brown, and his eyes were tired but sharp. Yes, he said. Good morning, sir, Anabel said, dropping into her professional smile. Your breakfast, sir. He stepped aside to let her in. The suite was wide and bright, with floor-to-ceiling windows and furniture that looked more expensive than her whole street. On the table, please, he said. She placed the tray on the glass dining table. He didn't look at her again, already turning toward his laptop on the couch. A phone buzzed in his hand. Yes, I said wire the money, he was saying. No, today I'm not asking. His voice was calm but carried a power that made Anabel's shoulders straighten. She tried not to listen. She adjusted the plates and stepped back. Is there anything else, sir? She asked politely. He waved a hand without looking at her. That's fine. She left quietly, her heart still racing. As the door closed behind her, she exhaled. By afternoon, she had gone up to his room twice more, once with fresh towels, once with a lunch order. Each time, he barely looked at her. He spoke into his phone in a mix of American accent and something that sounded like Nigerian roots that never left fully. The third time she went up, late evening. The sky outside was turning orange, and the hotel lights had come on, bright and golden. She carried a tray with suya-spiced chicken, jollof rice, and a small bottle of palm wine he had requested for old times. She knocked and entered when he answered, "Come in." The living room area was quiet. The TV was on mute, showing a news channel. A leather wallet lay on the edge of the dining table, near the tray she set down. She arranged the plates, straightened the cutlery. As she turned to go, her elbow brushed the wallet. It slipped and dropped to the floor. Ah, she gasped softly. She bent quickly to pick it up, panicking at the thought of scratching or misplacing something so clearly expensive. The wallet fell open in her hand, and that was when the photograph slid out and drifted down. Her world changed in 1 second. Her mother's face looked up at her from the floor. Her hands trembled as she picked it up. Her mind flew back to the framed copy of that same photo on the table in their sitting room at home. Her mother had always refused to talk about it. Who took this picture? Anabel had asked many times. An old friend, her mother would say, eyes clouded. Don't worry about it. Now the picture was here, in Lagos, in the wallet of a billionaire who looked like he belonged in another world entirely. She didn't hear Damon Cole return from the bedroom until he spoke. "What are you doing with that?" he asked, voice low. She turned slowly, eyes wide, heart beating like a drum. Damon's face had lost its calm. His jaw was tight. His eyes were fixed on the picture in her hand, and for the first time since she met him, Anabel saw something that looked like fear. "Where did you get that?" he repeated. Anabel swallowed. Her tongue felt heavy. It fell from your wallet, sir. This is my mother." Silence dropped into the room like a stone. For a long second, neither of them moved. Then Damon stepped closer, searching her face. His eyes moved from her nose to her mouth, to the small dimple in her left cheek. The same dimple her mother always said she got from someone you don't need to know. "What did you say your name is?" he asked quietly. "Anabel," she whispered. His eyes widened just a fraction. He whispered something under his breath, so soft she almost didn't hear it. It sounded like, "It can't be." Before Anabel could ask what he meant, his phone rang loudly on the table, cutting through the thick air. The caller ID flashed on the screen. Evlyn. Anabel's mother's name. And the phone was already on speaker. The ringtone echoed through the suite like a warning bell. Anabel's breath caught as the name Evlyn flashed again on the billionaire's phone screen. The same name she had written on countless school forms as mother. The same woman who had raised her alone, working late hours in a small community pharmacy, pretending everything was fine even when it was. But why was her mother calling him? Damon Cole did not move at first. His eyes stayed locked on Anabel as though he were seeing something that should not exist. His jaw tightened, his hands dropped by his sides, and a shadow crossed his face, one that looked far too personal for a man meeting a waitress for the first time. The phone continued ringing. "Sir," Anabel whispered, her voice breaking, "why is my mother calling you?" For the first time since she stepped into the room, the billionaire looked shaken, truly shaken. He began, but stopped, swallowing hard. He picked up the phone slowly, as if its weight had suddenly increased. The phone stopped ringing. Silence filled every corner of the suite. A second later, the phone vibrated again. Same name, same number. This time, Damon silenced the call completely. Anabel stared at him, heart pounding. "Please, sir, tell me what's happening. Why do you have a picture of my mom when she was young? Why is she calling you?" But instead of answering, Damon turned away and walked to the window. His shoulders rose and fell with each breath. Outside, Lagos was alive with traffic, bright lights, and the distant rhythm of nightlife. But inside the room, only fear lived. Finally, he spoke. "I didn't expect this," he said quietly. "Not today, not like this." Anabel stepped closer. "Expect what?" He didn't turn. "How old are you?" 20, she replied softly. A pained sound escaped him, barely audible but full of meaning. He pressed his palm to the glass. "Your mother, Evelyn, she was once very important to me." Anabel felt her knees weaken. Important how? He still didn't turn around. "She and we knew each other many years ago, before I became who I am, before the business, before everything changed." He paused. "Back when I was still figuring out life." A cold rush went through Anabel. "You knew her?" Damon nodded slowly. "Yes." Anabel's mind raced, questions piling over one another, forming a storm she could no longer contain. Then why didn't she ever mention you? Why didn't she tell me anything?" Damon inhaled deeply, but before he could speak, a knock sounded on the door. A heavy, urgent knock. Room service, a woman's voice called, though the tone was too sharp to belong to any staff Anabel knew. Damon stiffened. Anabel's pulse spiked. Who is that? Damon turned quickly, stepped back. She obeyed without thinking. Something in his voice didn't sound like a man speaking to a waitress. It sounded like someone protecting her. He opened the door only a few inches. A tall woman in a red blazer stood outside, holding a phone and a small brown envelope. She wore expensive perfume, sharp, cold, foreign. Her hair was straight and sleek, and she had a face that looked like it never smiled unless there was a camera. "Mr. Cole," she said in a low voice, "we need to talk." "I'm in the middle of something, Clara," Damon said. "It's urgent," she insisted. "It's about the background check you requested." Anabel froze. Background check. Her stomach twisted. Was he investigating someone, her mother, her? Clara glanced past Damon into the suite. Her eyes landed on Anabel. "That's her?" she asked flatly. Damon quickly stepped into the doorway, blocking Clara's view. "Clara, not here." "She deserves to know," Clara said. "You asked me to find out the truth, and I found something." Anabel's voice trembled. "Found what?" Damon turned, his face unreadable. "We're done for today, Clara," he said sharply. "Leave." Clara hesitated, then stepped back, her expression tight. "I'll wait downstairs, but you can't hide this forever, Damon, not now." She walked away, leaving a cold silence in her wake. Damon shut the door slowly. Anabel stood there trembling. "Sir, what truth was she talking about? Why was my mother part of your background check?" Damon paced the room once, twice, running a hand over his head. He looked like a man trapped between two terrible choices. "Anabel," he said, turning toward her, "there are some things your mother never told you, things she kept hidden for your protection." "My protection," Anabel whispered. "From what?" A loud, sudden buzz made them both jump. It was Damon's phone again. This time it wasn't a call. It was a message. The preview flashed across the screen, clearly enough for Anabel to read. "Mom, don't tell her anything, please." The room spun. Her mother knew. Her mother knew Damon was here. Her mother knew about the photograph. Her mother knew something Anabel had never been allowed to know. Tears welled up in her eyes. Why is she asking you not to tell me anything? What is she hiding from me?" Damon's face softened. "Anabel, sit down. There's something I must explain." She didn't sit. "I want the truth," she said firmly. "Now." He exhaled slowly and walked toward her. But before he could speak, his laptop pinged loudly. A video call request popped up. Anabel's breath caught. On the screen was her mother. Worried, frantic, crying. Damon and Anabel stared at the image, stunned. Her mother wiped her eyes and whispered shakily before the call connected fully. "Damon, does she know?" The call connected. And Evelyn, Anabel's mother, looked directly into the camera. But instead of speaking to Damon, she whispered one trembling sentence that froze Anabel where she stood. "Anabel, listen to me carefully. Whatever he has told you, don't believe it. He is not who you think he is." The screen flickered. Her mother disappeared. The call ended abruptly. Damon's hands balled into fists. She shouldn't have said that. Anabel stepped back, fear tightening inside her. "Why is she warning me about you? What are you hiding from me?" Damon looked at her with a pain so deep it made her chest tighten. "You deserve the truth," he said, "but the truth may destroy everything you believe about your mother." Anabel stared at him, breath unsteady. "What truth?" she whispered. Damon opened his mouth to answer. But the suite door suddenly swung open, so hard it hit the wall. And standing there out of breath, eyes red, face pale, was Evelyn, Anabel's mother. Before either of them could speak, she cried out desperate and broken. Anabel, move away from him, now. Evelyn stumbled into the suite like a woman running from a wildfire, her breath ragged, her scarf twisted, her hands trembling so badly she almost slipped on the polished floor. Anabel, come here, she shouted again, eyes wide with panic. Anabel froze. Her mother never raised her voice like that, never. Mama, what are you doing here? How did you? Come to me, Evelyn repeated, reaching forward with shaking arms. But Damon stepped between them, palms raised. Evelyn, please, he said quietly. This is not the way. Evelyn's chest heaved. Don't please me, not after everything you've put us through. Anabel looked from one to the other, confusion twisting her insides. Mama, what's going on? Why do you know him? Why does he have your picture? Why were you crying on the video call? Her mother looked at her with eyes full of fear and something else, something like guilt. Baby, I'm going to explain everything, Evelyn whispered. But first, move away from him. I'm not here to hurt her, Damon said, voice low but firm. Evelyn whipped her head toward him. You hurt us once, Damon. That was enough. Damon's expression darkened with a pain that looked old, too old to be new. You left. You disappeared without a word. To save my child, Evelyn snapped. Anabel's heart pounded harder. Child who? What? Will someone please tell me what is happening? She cried. But neither adult turned to her. Their past had swallowed the room. Evelyn's voice broke as she pointed at Damon. You think you can walk back into our lives after 20 years? Damon took a step forward. You think I knew? You think I ever found peace? I searched for you for years, Evelyn, years. You didn't search hard enough, she murmured. I hired investigators around the world, he shot back. You changed your name, moved across countries, erased every trail. I was protecting my daughter. Anabel's breath hitched. Protecting me from what? Both adults turned toward her, as if they had forgotten she existed. Evelyn hurried to her side, gripping her shoulders tightly. Anabel, listen to me. There are things about your birth, things I never wanted you to know. Why not? Anabel whispered. Mama, please, I have a right to know the truth. Evelyn swallowed hard, tears sliding down her cheeks. Yes, but I wanted to tell you when you were older, when it would hurt less. Hurt, Anabel repeated. Mama, you're scaring me. Damon took a slow breath. Anabel, he said gently, 20 years ago, your mother and I, we were together. Anabel blinked. Together how? Evelyn closed her eyes. We were in love, Damon said. The floor tilted under Anabel's feet. Her mother and this man in love. Before she could process it, Evelyn spoke again, voice cracking. But that love came with danger. Damon's family was powerful, dangerous. They didn't want him with me. They didn't want him with anyone who wasn't from their world. Damon looked like someone replaying an old nightmare. My father was controlling, cold. He didn't want me involved with anyone outside the business, and he hated that I fell for Evelyn. Anabel shook her head. So, what does that have to do with me? Evelyn held her hands tighter. Everything, baby, everything. Damon stepped closer, his voice softer now. Your mother left because she was pregnant. Anabel's breath stopped completely. No. No, no, no. Mama, she whispered, pregnant with me. Evelyn nodded slowly, crying harder. Yes, Anabel, with you. Damon's voice trembled. She ran before I even knew, before she even told me. Anabel staggered back. She felt blind, empty, lost. You're saying, she whispered, you're saying he might be. Her mother shook her head quickly. No, don't say it yet. But Damon whispered it anyway. I'm your father, Anabel. Evelyn gasped and slapped a hand over her mouth. Anabel's head spun, the furniture blurred, her ears rang, her knees threatened to give way. No, she whispered, no. You can't just come into my life and say something like that. You can't. Mama, tell me he's lying. Evelyn sobbed. I'm so sorry, baby." Anabel felt the world cracking open. "But why?" she asked, voice shaking. "Why didn't you ever tell me? Why did you keep him away from me? Why did you run from him?" Evelyn wiped her tears, trying to steady her voice. "Because his father threatened us. Damon's father ran businesses, dangerous ones. He said if I didn't leave, he would take you from me. He would raise you as his heir, and I would never see you again." Anabel froze. "Take her. Raise her." Threatened her mother. Her stomach twisted. "Mama, you went through all that alone." "I did it to protect you," Evelyn whispered. "He had money, power, and people everywhere. I couldn't let them find us, so I left. I changed everything. I hid." Damon looked broken. "And you never gave me a chance to protect you both." "You were a child yourself," Evelyn cried. "Barely 21, working for a man who treated you like a puppet. You couldn't have saved us. You couldn't even save yourself." Damon closed his eyes. Pain rippled across his face. Anabel felt her throat tightening again. "So, you never told him I existed." Evelyn shook her head, sobbing. "And you," Anabel turned to Damon, "you never knew I was your child." Damon exhaled shakily. "Not until last week." Anabel's eyes widened. "Last week?" He nodded. "Someone sent me an anonymous email. It said Evelyn was alive and that she had a daughter with my dimples." His voice shook. "I started searching immediately, and when I saw you at this hotel, when I looked at your face, I knew." Everything fell quiet. Too quiet. The truth sat between them like a thunderstorm. Then Damon whispered, "I asked Clara to run a background check. I needed to know. I needed to be sure. I needed to find you." Evelyn stepped forward, emotion raw in her eyes. "And what do you want now, Damon? After 20 years? After I built a life hiding from your family? What do you want from my daughter?" Damon stared at Anabel, his expression full of pain and longing. "I want to know her," he whispered. "I want to be part of her life if she'll let me." Evelyn's voice rose. "You think it's that simple? You think you can walk in and claim her?" "She's my daughter," Damon said, voice shaking. "She's my daughter," Evelyn replied fiercely. "The one I carried, raised, protected, alone." The room trembled with the weight of their past. And then Anabel, overwhelmed, trembling, heart splintering, whispered, "I need a minute." But before she could move, Clara's voice echoed from the hallway. "Damon, your father is on his way upstairs. He knows everything." Damon froze. Evelyn's face drained of color. Anabel whispered, terrified, "Why is he coming here?" Damon turned slowly toward the door, jaw clenched. "To take you," he said. Before Anabel could speak, Clara burst into the room and shouted, "Everyone hide, now he's armed." Tell us in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more gripping stories like this. The moment Clara's warning hit the air, the suite turned cold, dangerously cold, like someone had opened a door into a storm. "Armed." The word echoed in Anabel's mind until her chest felt tight. "What do you mean he's armed?" Damon demanded, moving toward Clara. Clara shut the door quickly, twisting the lock with trembling fingers. "He found out the truth, everything. He knows Evelyn is here. He knows about Anabel, and he's furious." Evelyn pressed a hand over her heart. "Oh God, this is what I feared. This is exactly why I ran." Anabel stood frozen in the center of the room, panic climbing up her throat, making it hard to breathe. "Why is he coming? What does he want with me?" Damon turned to her, eyes full of urgency. "My father has always believed he owns everything tied to our family, including the people. He doesn't see children. He sees heirs. He sees assets." Anabel felt sick. "So he wants to take me because I'm his son's child." Evelyn stepped closer, gripping her arm. "Yes, baby, he always wanted control, over Damon, over everything he touched." "But I'm an adult," Anabel whispered. "He can't force me." You don't understand, Evelyn said, her voice trembling. That man doesn't care about the law. He doesn't care about right or wrong. If he wants you, he'll try to take you. A sharp knock exploded against the door. Everyone jumped. Clara cursed under her breath. He's here already. Damon moved quickly, guiding Anabel toward the bedroom. Stay in here, he said, both of you. No, Anabel said, shaking her head. I'm not hiding from someone I've never met. I'm not letting anyone make decisions about my life without me. Damon stared at her, torn between fear and admiration. You're stronger than you think, he murmured, just like your mother. Evelyn pushed Anabel behind her. Damon, stop encouraging her. She doesn't understand what your father is capable of. Another knock boomed, harder this time. Damon, a deep, commanding voice growled from the other side. Open this door now. Anabel's blood ran cold. The voice was powerful, heavy, and full of rage barely held in check. It sounded like a man used to giving orders, orders people feared to disobey. Don't open, Evelyn whispered desperately. But they all knew he couldn't stand there banging forever. Someone, security, staff, other guests, would eventually come, and Damon's father was not the type of man to leave quietly. Clara moved toward the door. Let me handle it. No, Damon said firmly. He's here for me. He took a deep breath and walked to the door. He unlocked it one click at a time. The moment the door opened, a tall, broad-shouldered man stormed inside. His silver hair was cut in sharp lines, his suit dark and intimidating, and his eyes, cold, gray, unforgiving, swept the room like a searchlight. What have you done? He snarled at Damon. How dare you drag this family into gutter scandals, a waitress, a runaway, a secret child? Do you know what this will cost us? Damon stood his ground. She's not a scandal, she's my daughter. The older man slammed his cane against the floor. You have no daughter, he spat. Not unless I say you do, and I didn't approve this. Anabel felt the air choke her. Approve, like she was paperwork, insurance, property. Everyone else moved back instinctively, but she didn't. He finally noticed her. His head turned slowly, his eyes narrowed. He studied her face, her hair, her posture, her fear. His expression didn't soften, it hardened. So it's true, he muttered. She looks exactly like Evelyn. Evelyn stepped in front of Anabel instantly. Leave her alone. He smirked, still as dramatic as ever. Still as wicked as ever, Evelyn shot back. His cold eyes flicked to Damon. You let this woman manipulate you again, after all these years. She didn't manipulate anything, Damon said. You drove her away. His father scoffed. How poetic, but let me be very clear. He turned back to Evelyn. You ran with something that belonged to me. Anabel's pulse hammered. I belong to no one. The older man raised a brow. You belong to the Cole legacy. You are the bloodline. You will be shaped, groomed, and prepared to take your place. You will not be left to rot in the slums with your mother. Evelyn's hands shook with rage. Rot, rot. You think poverty is rot. You think dignity is rot. I raised my daughter with love, something money can't buy. He ignored her. Anabel, he said coldly, get your things, you're coming with me. Anabel stepped back. No. He blinked, surprised she dared oppose him. Damon moved to stand between them. Dad, leave her alone. She's an adult. You think adulthood matters, the older man snarled. Do you think this is a democracy? I built everything you stand on. I own every part of your life, including this hotel. Clara stiffened. Sir, with all respect. He cut her off. Stay out of this. He turned back to Anabel. You will not embarrass this family. You will come with me, now. I won't, Anabel whispered. I don't know you, and I'm not leaving with a stranger. He leaned forward until his shadow fell over her. You don't have a choice. Evelyn gasped and pulled Anabel behind her. Don't touch her. Damon's voice broke with fury. Dad, stop. But before anyone could react, the older man grabbed Anabel's wrist. His grip was iron. Anabel cried out, stumbling. Let her go, Damon roared, shoving his father back. The older man hit the edge of the table, knocking over a glass that shattered across the floor. Security alarms went off instantly. Clara cursed. Great, security is on the way, we have to think fast. Evelyn grabbed Anabel's face, checking her arm. Baby, are you hurt? I'm fine, Anabel whispered, still shaking. But Mama, I'm not going anywhere with him. Never. Damon's father straightened, breathing heavily, fury shaking his shoulders. This isn't over, he growled. I will take her, she is mine by blood. No, Damon said firmly, stepping forward. She is mine by love. The older man stiffened, stunned for the first time. Damon continued, voice raw, and I will protect her, even from you. A fist pounded on the suite door. Hotel security, a voice shouted, open the door. Evelyn looked at Damon in panic. If they come in and see all this, everything will be worse. They may take her away for safety. Please do something. For a moment, no one moved. Then Damon grabbed Anabel's hand. We need to leave, he said, all of us. His father lunged. You are not taking her. Clara blocked him. Sir, you need to calm. Move. Security knocked again, harder. Last warning, open the door. Evelyn looked at Damon, desperation in her eyes. How do we get out without passing the door? Damon pointed toward the balcony, overlooking the service stairs. Through there. Anabel's eyes widened. Mama can't climb stairs like that. I'll carry her, Damon said. Evelyn froze. Damon's father lunged again. Anabel grabbed her mother's hand. Mama, let's go. Security began unlocking the door from the outside. Damon opened the balcony quietly. The cold night air swept in. Everyone out, he whispered urgently. But before they could escape, the suite door swung open, and Damon's father shouted. Guards, seize them. The suite door crashed open so violently it shook the walls. 2 hotel security guards stepped in first, followed immediately by 2 unfamiliar men in black suits, broad-shouldered and cold-eyed. These weren't hotel staff. These were Damon's father's private enforcers. Close the balcony, one of them barked. Damon shoved Anabel and Evelyn behind him. Don't go near them. But the guards spread out quickly, forming a wall across the room. Damon's father stepped forward with a chilling calmness, the kind that came from years of having power obeyed without question. There's no escape, he murmured. No running this time, not again. Evelyn trembled but didn't back down. You will not take my child. He scoffed. Child, she's 20 years old and still has no idea who she truly is. You kept her small. I will make her great. Anabel's voice cracked as she stepped forward, despite her mother's grip. I don't want your greatness. I don't want anything from you. That caught him off guard. No one in his world spoke to him that way. You don't know what you're saying, he replied through clenched teeth. Damon's heir belongs with the Cole legacy. I belong with the mother who raised me, Anabel said fiercely. Not with strangers, not with secrets, and definitely not with anyone who tries to drag me somewhere by force. His eyes hardened. You're speaking emotionally, not logically. I'm speaking for myself, Anabel shot back. I make my own choices. Damon placed a hand on her shoulder. She stays with us. His father's nostrils flared. You think you can protect her. You couldn't protect yourself when you were her age. That was because of you, Damon snapped. The older man stiffened. Evelyn wiped her eyes and spoke, voice steady with exhaustion and fury. You never cared about Damon, not truly. You controlled him, manipulated him, used him, and now you want to do the same to my daughter. He turned sharply. I gave Damon everything. You gave him fear, Evelyn shot back. Fear dressed in money, fear covered with threats, fear pretending to be love. The enforcers stepped forward. Damon's father raised his cane. Enough of this. One enforcer grabbed Damon's arm. Another reached for Anabel. No, Evelyn screamed, pushing Anabel behind her. Damon lunged forward and slammed his shoulder into the enforcer holding him, knocking both of them back into the table. Glass plates shattered to the floor. Clara jerked into action, pulling a pepper spray from her bag, something no hotel policy allowed, but something she clearly kept for situations like this. She sprayed the nearest enforcer in the eyes. He screamed, stumbling blindly as liquid fire seared his vision. "Run!" she yelled at Anabel and Evelyn. They sprinted toward the balcony door, but Damon's father grabbed Evelyn by the arm. Evelyn cried out. "Mama!" Anabel turned back, but Clara pushed her toward the balcony. "Go, move, go!" Damon shoved the second enforcer aside and ran toward his father. "Let her go." But the older man tightened his grip on Evelyn, voice low and venomous. "You ruined everything the moment you ran. You ruined my son. You ruined the legacy." "Let me go," Evelyn gasped, struggling. Damon's father leaned close. "Not until." He didn't finish. Damon tackled him so hard they both crashed into the glass coffee table, shattering it completely. Shock waves went through the entire room. Anabel screamed. Clara dragged her back. "We need to go." The balcony door swung open as a blast of humid Lagos night air swept in. Evelyn staggered toward her daughter. "Move, baby, move." Damon got up with blood on his arm, glass shards glinting in his skin. He didn't notice. He grabbed Anabel's hand. "We go down the service stairs," he said breathlessly. "It's safer than the hallway." Clara nodded. "I'll block them." "What?" Anabel whispered. "Clara, no." But Clara shoved a chair against the sweet door frame, bracing it with her whole weight. "I'm buying you time. Run." Evelyn pulled Anabel onto the balcony. Damon followed. The four of them rushed onto the narrow metal staircase at the side of the building. Wind whipped their faces as the city buzzed below. Behind them, the suite door slammed open fully. Damon's father's furious voice bellowed. "Get them!" They hurried down the first flight. Halfway down, Evelyn stumbled. "Mama!" Anabel grabbed her quickly. "I'm fine," Evelyn panted. "Keep going." But as they approached the 10th floor landing, another enforcer stepped out from the shadows. He blocked the stairs completely. "You're not going anywhere," he growled. Evelyn's heart dropped. Anabel froze. Damon stepped in front of them, fists clenched. "Get out of our way." The enforcer smirked. "Make me." Damon lunged. The man caught him by the throat and slammed him against the railing. "Damon!" Evelyn shouted. Anabel cried out, rushing forward, but Evelyn grabbed her arm. "No, baby, stay back." The enforcer tightened his grip. Damon struggled, gasping for breath. Anabel felt helpless, terrified, shaking. "Stop," she yelled. "Please stop." The enforcer ignored her, lifting Damon higher. Evelyn's voice cracked into a scream. "Let him take me instead." Those words, raw, desperate, froze everyone. Even the enforcer. "What?" he muttered, grip loosening slightly. "Take me," Evelyn gasped. "Let them go, Damon, Anabel, they didn't choose any of this. I'll go with you. I'll go quietly, please, just don't hurt them." Anabel burst into tears. "Mama, no, don't." Damon's eyes widened with horror. "Evelyn, don't you dare." The enforcer blinked, thrown off by her bargaining. Behind them, Damon's father's voice thundered from the staircase above. "She's not the one I want." And then, the enforcer twisted Damon sideways and hurled him down the remaining stairs. Damon tumbled violently, hitting metal, concrete, and railing bars. He landed hard, his body slumping on the next landing, motionless. Anabel shrieked. "Mama, he's not moving." Evelyn screamed Damon's name until her voice cracked. Damon didn't answer. The world tilted. Everything fell apart. Above them, Damon's father stepped onto the landing, glaring down at Anabel with cold triumph. "Now," he said, pointing directly at her, "you will come with me." Anabel backed away, trembling uncontrollably. Evelyn clung to her. But the older man stepped closer, raising a hand toward her. And the last thing Anabel saw before her vision blurred with panic was Damon's fingers twitching weakly. He wasn't dead, but he was barely conscious, and no one knew whether he would survive the fall. For a moment time stopped. The night air pressed itself against Anabel's skin as she stared down at Damon, broken, bleeding, and terrifyingly still on the metal landing below. "No, no, no, Damon," she cried, her voice cracking into pieces. Evelyn pulled her close, trembling violently. "Baby, don't look, don't look. Oh, God." But Anabel did look. She couldn't stop. The man who claimed to be her father. The man who had protected her. The man who fell trying to save her life. Now he lay almost motionless, chest rising only in faint, shallow breaths. From above them, Damon's father stepped forward slowly, cane echoing like a slow drumbeat against the metal stairs. "This has gone too far," he said. "I didn't come here to kill my own son, but you will not take him from me again." Evelyn spun around, fierceness in her eyes. "Your own son. You nearly destroyed him. You've been destroying him since he was a boy." "You shut your mouth," he hissed. "No," Evelyn said, stepping in front of Anabel. "Tonight you will listen." The older man raised his cane, anger burning. "Move aside, I came for Anabel." Anabel backed away, heart pounding so hard it hurt. "Why? What do you want from me? Why can't you just leave us alone?" His cold eyes locked onto her. "Because you are a coal, because you carry our blood, because everything in this world respects power, and you were born into it whether you like it or not. Your future is not for you to choose. It is for the family to choose." "I choose myself," Anabel whispered, shaking. "Not you, never you." His jaw twitched, offended, outraged. He reached toward her, but Evelyn stepped between them like a shield. "Over my dead body." He tilted his head. "That can be arranged." The enforcer beside him reached for Evelyn's arm. But suddenly, a hand grabbed the enforcer's ankle from below. Damon's hand. Weak, shaking, but alive. The enforcer yelped, stumbling. Damon's father turned sharply. Damon's voice came harsh and broken from below. "Touch them, and I'll kill you." Anabel burst into tears. "Damon, you're alive." He wasn't really awake. He was half-conscious, fighting against pain that screamed through his body, but he was awake enough. Awake enough to protect them. Damon's father scowled. "Stay down, you can't even stand." Damon tried to push himself up on one elbow, wincing. "You haven't controlled me in years." "Control," his father snapped. "I built you." "And I rebuilt myself," Damon rasped. "Away from you." The older man's face twisted. "You will never escape me." Damon forced a painful laugh. "I already have." The enforcer reached for Anabel again. Evelyn stepped forward. But before they could lay a hand on her, another voice boomed from above. "Stop right there." Everyone froze. Hotel security. Real security. Not the father's men. The actual uniformed team. 4 officers charged onto the landing, tasers drawn. Clara appeared behind them, breathless but fierce. "I told them everything," she said, "all of it." Security pointed at Damon's father and his enforcers. "Step back and drop whatever weapons you're carrying." Damon's father straightened, outraged. "Do you know who I am?" "Yes," the chief guard said, "and that's exactly why we're here." Two officers grabbed the enforcers. One approached the older man. "Sir, you are being detained for assault, trespassing, use of unauthorized armed personnel, and endangering guests." "You can't arrest me," he growled. "Yes, we can," the guard replied. "Hotel policy applies to everyone." As they cuffed him, he shouted at Damon, "You're throwing away your legacy." Damon forced himself upright, gripping the railing. "No, I'm saving it, by making sure he pointed at Anabel, never grows up under your shadow." His father's eyes burned with rage as security dragged him up the steps. "You'll regret this," he roared. Damon whispered, "Never again." And just like that, he was gone, taken, and the air finally loosened. Anabel rushed down the steps to Damon, sobbing, "Don't move, please don't move." He leaned against the railing, pain etched across his face. "I'm okay. I've survived worse from him." Evelyn knelt beside him, hands shaking as she touched his cheek. "I'm so sorry. I never wanted you to get hurt for us." Damon managed a broken smile. "I'd take 1,000 falls to keep you both safe." Evelyn's eyes softened with something deep and old. Love, maybe. Regret, definitely. "I should never have run," she whispered. "I should have trusted you." "You were protecting her," Damon breathed. "I understand now." Anabel squeezed his hand. "We'll get you to a hospital. You'll be okay." Damon looked at her, really looked at her, and his eyes filled with tears, the kind he never allowed in public. "You look just like your mother." "And stubborn like you," she whispered. He laughed weakly. "That's how I know you're mine." Anabel's throat tightened. She didn't know what their relationship would become. She didn't know what the future held. But she knew one thing. She was no longer the girl who served food and stayed invisible. She was someone with a story, a family, a truth, and a choice. As paramedics arrived and lifted Damon onto a stretcher, he grabbed Anabel's hand again. "I lost 20 years," he said, voice trembling. "I don't want to lose any more. Please let me be part of your life." Anabel squeezed his hand, tears falling freely. "We'll figure it out together." Evelyn wrapped her arms around her daughter, whispering into her hair, "You are not a secret anymore. You are not hidden. You are loved by both of us." As the ambulance doors closed, Anabel looked up at the sky, dark, chaotic, and full of scattered lights. A new chapter of her life was beginning. One she never saw coming. One built on truth instead of fear. And one where she finally knew who she was. Not just a waitress. Not just a girl with a mysterious past. Not a pawn in someone else's legacy. She was Anabel Evelyn Cole. And her story was just beginning. The hospital room was quiet, too quiet for a place meant to bring healing. Machines hummed softly, monitors blinked with steady rhythms, and the smell of antiseptic clung to every breath. Damon lay on the bed, his arm bandaged, ribs wrapped, and scratches marking his skin like reminders of everything he'd fought through. Anabel sat beside him in a stiff plastic chair, watching the slow rise and fall of his chest. She had barely left his side since they arrived. Evelyn stood near the window, arms folded, eyes swollen from crying but still sharp and protective. A doctor stepped in. "He's stable," she said gently. "It'll take time, but he'll recover." Anabel exhaled shakily. "Thank you." Evelyn managed a faint smile. "Thank you, doctor." The doctor nodded and left, leaving them wrapped in the soft hum of medical machines. For a moment, no one spoke. Finally, Anabel whispered, "Mama, do you regret telling the truth?" Evelyn's heart squeezed. She walked over and knelt beside Anabel's chair. "Baby, I regret the pain you felt tonight, but I don't regret the truth." She brushed a lock of Anabel's hair behind her ear. "You deserve to know where you came from." Anabel blinked away tears. It feels like everything changed so fast. One moment I was serving food in a hotel, the next, I'm in the middle of a war I never knew existed. Evelyn pulled her into a hug. I'm sorry for the burden. I carried it alone for so long, I didn't know how to let you share it. Anabel rested her head on her mother's shoulder. You shouldn't have carried it alone. Evelyn swallowed hard. I thought hiding the past was the best way to protect you. Anabel lifted her head. Maybe it was back then, but I'm not a child anymore. Before Evelyn could respond, Damon stirred slightly on the bed. Anabel rose quickly. He's waking up. Damon blinked slowly, eyes finding her as though she was the anchor he needed. A weak smile curved his lips. You're still here, he whispered. Of course, Anabel said softly, taking his hand. We're not leaving. Evelyn stepped forward but kept a respectful distance. How do you feel? Like a truck hit me, Damon replied hoarsely, but I've felt worse. Anabel squeezed his hand gently. Don't talk too much, rest. He studied her face, eyes soft. I don't want to rest, I want to talk to you, both of you. Anabel pulled the chair closer. Evelyn pulled another chair and sat on the other side of the bed, her posture guarded but calmer than before. Damon inhaled deeply, wincing. Everything that happened, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what my father did. I'm sorry for the fear you both lived with. Evelyn looked down. Your father has always done as he pleased. Hurting others was a consequence he never cared about. Damon clenched his teeth. Leaving home was the best choice I ever made. I rebuilt myself, my business, my life, but I always knew something was missing. His eyes softened as he looked toward Anabel. It was you. Emotion tightened Anabel's throat. She didn't know if she should cry, smile, or just breathe. I'm still trying to understand everything, she admitted. It's a lot. I know, Damon replied, and I don't expect forgiveness overnight. I just want the chance to know you properly. Anabel nodded slowly. I want that too, but we need to go slow. Everything changed so fast. He smiled weakly. Slow is fine, slow is enough. Evelyn cleared her throat. Damon, I need to know one thing. He turned to her. When I left back then, if I had told you I was pregnant, would you have protected us, truly? Damon looked away for a long moment. Pain flickered across his face like an old bruise reopening. I was young, he said quietly, and scared, and my father controlled every part of my life. But for you, for a child, he looked back at her. I would have fought even if it cost me everything. Evelyn's eyes glistened. I wish I had believed that back then. I wish you had, he whispered. Silence settled, heavy but healing, like a wound finally being exposed to clean air. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. A nurse poked her head in. Visitor for Mr. Cole. Anabel frowned. A visitor who? The nurse stepped aside. Clara walked in, still in her work clothes, eyes tired but alert. Clara, Anabel breathed. I had to check on you all, Clara said, stepping closer. Security officers took statements. The hotel is documenting everything. Damon's father is in custody for now. For now, Evelyn echoed. Clara nodded grimly. He has power, money, connections. They won't hold him long. Anabel's stomach twisted, so he could come back. Not to the hotel, Clara assured them. He's banned for life, and security notified the authorities. There will be legal consequences. But consequences don't stop men like him, Evelyn whispered. Clara hesitated. That's why I came. There's something else you need to know. She placed an envelope on the table. Damon frowned. What's that? Your father's lawyer dropped it off at the hotel before security detained him, Clara said. He wanted it delivered to you privately. Evelyn's eyes widened. Don't open it. But Damon slowly lifted the envelope, studying the heavy paper. 2 words were written in his father's strict handwriting. To my son. Anabel's heartbeat quickened. Should you read it? I don't know, Damon murmured. Clara whispered, we don't know what's inside, a threat or something important. Evelyn stiffened. It doesn't matter. That man has nothing to offer. Anabel looked between them, at her mother who feared the past, at Damon who was trying to build a future, and at the sealed envelope sitting like a quiet storm waiting to be opened. She took a deep breath. Maybe, Anabel said softly, the truth shouldn't scare us anymore. Damon looked at her with surprise and pride. Then slowly, he opened the envelope. A folded document slipped out, followed by a handwritten letter. Anabel watched Damon's eyes widen as he stared at the papers. "What is it?" she whispered. Damon swallowed hard. "It's a DNA test." Evelyn gasped, "What?" Damon nodded, breath trembling. "Dated 2 weeks ago." He picked up the letter, voice shaking as he read. "I knew the moment I saw the girl. She is my bloodline's heir. Whether you accept her or not, the world will." Anabel froze. He had known. Even before Damon. Even before Evelyn. Her mother gripped her hand tightly. "Baby, I'm so sorry this happened, all of this." Damon looked up from the letter, eyes locked on Anabel. "You are officially recognized as a Cole," he said quietly. "Legally, publicly, permanently." Anabel's breath hitched. Evelyn's entire body tensed. "That brings danger. That brings attention." "No," Damon said firmly. "It brings protection and choice." Anabel stared at him. "Choice." Damon nodded softly. "You can choose to accept the name. Or you can reject it. Whatever you choose, I will stand by you." Evelyn touched her daughter's cheek. "And so will I." Anabel looked down at her trembling hands. Her entire identity, her past, her future, her story, rested in a single moment. Slowly she whispered, "I don't know what to choose yet." Damon smiled gently. "Then we'll take it one step at a time." Evelyn wrapped her arms around Anabel, pulling her close. "Whatever you decide, you won't face it alone." For the first time that night, Anabel didn't feel fear. She felt strength. She felt supported. She felt ready. Her life had changed. But for the first time, she wasn't scared of what came next. She wasn't just Anabel the waitress. She wasn't just a girl with a hidden past. She was someone with a future powerful enough to rewrite everything. And she finally had the people she needed beside her.